1.01 least likely to steal your girl mock draft. Yes. Dude, this is an ugly quarterback class. There are not a lot of good. And I mean, I say this as like a thoroughly average looking man. There are not a lot of handsome fellas in this class. Rosen is
the Matt Harmon QB hotness take scale.
Yeah, no, I mean Rosen is weird looking.
You got to pay him to do the ranking.
Yeah, Rosen's weird looking. Yeah, that's true. You got to pay to do the rankings, but Rosen's weird looking. Even Lamar Jackson's kind of he's kind of weird looking.
He's definitely weird looking.
Could you just real quick, Matt? Could you possibly just rank the 5 QBs that are most talked about?
Oh, we're live right now. This is
no, we're still off there. This won't be heard. I'm just curious.
I know how to work these. You know,
I'm just curious what your opinion is. That's all.
Okay, let's. You mean like on handsomeness rankings?
Yes.
Okay, let's go 1 to 5. It's tough. These guys are all pretty ugly. Baker is probably number 1, I guess.
By default.
By default. Then probably Josh Rosen. He's weird looking, but I don't think he's that ugly. Then Lamar Jackson. Then Josh Allen. Allen looks like he could be handsome in a couple years, but he's just looks real young right now. I mean, he looks like me. And then Sam Darnold is 5.
Okay.
He's clearly
that's like tier 5. Like I think Darnold is like
dropped a couple,
kind of in his own world.
Yeah. He's hideous. He's very ugly. I hope he never sees this. I mean, he's just I hope he's not watching.
Did you see?
We did tweet him out. So,
did you see Josh Herzmeyer's tweet about that picture? I don't know if it's ESPN with Baker Mayfield doing the reverse redneck because everything was like tan except his neck was completely white.
Impressive.
I didn't see that, but there's a couple like the NFL handle tweeted out, or like the Instagram account put out pictures of Darnold from his throw day or from his pro day when he was throwing. I'm gonna put him up to the screen like a real professional here, but like, look at that. This one too. This is great.
You know what he looks like right there? He looks like in Men in Black. The guy who gets who has the alien take over him, like that's who he looks like. Right there.
It reminds me of a post when you got the figure skaters and they tighten up, or maybe it's the divers, or no, it's the figure skaters when they tighten up and do their triple axels.
Yes,
and they show their faces and you try to put it to some sort of description. Those are great.
Well, and I feel bad too
Darnold
because
has his own, kind of world there.
I feel bad too because there's no way you look good, in the act of like, throwing a football or whatever. Like especially when you're like exerting all that energy kinetically, like there's just no way you're going to look good, but it just compounds it more. Yeah, but not everybody's that talented, like I'm judging off the rest of us normal humans, like the peons, not godmen like that.
Fair enough.
Someone tweeted out that Josh Allen looks like the kid from Adventures of Babysitting. Which I thought was perfect.
Have not seen.
You haven't seen Adventures of
Will report back.
Oh, don't tell me you guys are all too young for that movie.
I definitely am.
I've never seen it.
Harmon, you've never seen Adventures? Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
No, what year did this come out?
Oh, it was I mean, I was young. I'm 33. I was young when it came out. It was probably late 80s.
I wasn't alive, so yeah.
Jake, I'm going to take this opportunity to steal your microphone and tell you that we are live on the open bar. We didn't even say that yet because we needed to get through those handsomeness rankings real quick. Fake Pigskin open bar, 9:30 Eastern every gosh darn Tuesday, never late. Always about 8:45. I mean, 8:30. Central. Excuse me. I gotta say that the Eastern time. Though we have a Pacificer out tonight. We'll get to him in just a second. J Mike, first, as always, I need to ask you, my man, how are you doing?
Draft week, baby. Somewhere Biggie's smiling. because it's draft week. I love it when you call me that 101. Throw your hands in the air if you're taking Saquon. Something like that? No? Well, anyhow, it is.
I did tell you earlier off air that you said you weren't a rapper, and I think I pumped you up a little bit too much.
Yeah, a little bit. Little too much secret sauce right there. But that's okay. We are 48 hours out from round one, and I am thrilled, which just means that the onslaught of dynasty rookie drafts and auctions are literally just around the corner. So I'm excited. I'm scared. I kind of wish someone would hold me. My wife is already going to bed. So I guess I'll hold myself. I'll work that out if you guys don't mind.
I'm certainly afraid of rookie auction. More specifically with John Bosch. Definitely afraid of that.
He's a wizard.
Yep. All right. So we are a few days away from the draft. I'm sure you've heard just about everything except for the top 5 most handsome QBs ranking. So that was brought to you by the young boy himself, Matt Harmon. Perception of the male. How you doing?
I'm good, fellas. Thanks so much for having me. And, I go on a lot of podcasts this time of year, so it's always nice to get a fresh question. And nobody to this point has asked about the quarterback handsomeness rankings. And, those have mostly been offline to this point, but I'm glad we got to put them on the airwaves. So, yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Very the definitive word.
Yes.
the authority on handsomeness.
If you want to find Matt Hartman's handsome rankings, go to
NFL.com/boy young boy.
Yeah. I thought I got to talk to the editors about that one.
I have this new idea, guys. I think it's going to be a big hit.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I bet you it would get clicks. Any sort of ranking. It'll get the attention of people. I bet it would work out. I'll pitch it for next draft class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen all sorts of things this offseason between all the kind of non-football drafts we've been in, hip-hop drafts and TV dad drafts and cartoon drafts or whatever else kind of drafts. Were you in any of those? Drake, our exec. I just called you Drake. I think I'm going to slow up on my cocktail over here. My goodness.
Put down the Drake.
Started from the bottom. And
now it's empty.
All right. Now it's at the bottom. Yeah. Jake, the NFL draft talker. My man, how are you?
I'm good. I was in one of those. It was a TV comedy draft hosted by none other than John Bosch. Or John Bosher,
right?
Last week. So that was fun, just killing some time. But yeah, it's Christmas time, guys. It's that time of year. I'm thrilled. This is my favorite time of year, and ever since starting Dynasty, it's like I was a huge fan of the NFL draft for forever. But now since starting Dynasty, it's like that time it has been extended onto rookie drafts. So you get to hold on to that season a little bit longer, which I'm thrilled about.
Yeah, we're that much closer to that dead time in the end of May, early July, and you're just to report things like that. Those are the best. But you usually have rookie drafts to hold you over. We've got a Jayhawk. Is that what you call those?
Rock chalk.
Yeah. Rock chalk. He's got it.
Robbie, what's up?
Not a lot. Excited to be on the podcast where 50% at least changes within the next 2 days when everyone finds their team. Everything we say just gets a little mashup, mix up. But no, really excited to be on with the executive producer, Jake. I've seen him on every single open bar except the one I was on. So excited to be on with him and perception wizard himself.
Yeah. It's a fire show. We've been planning for this one all year. I think we wrote up this show sheet about 4 months ago. So we're just going to lead off with Matt. I think you go ahead and hit that first question on the show sheet, Matt.
What? I got a sheet? I ain't getting a sheet. Give me a break. What is this? This wasn't cleared with my my publicist.
Clearly,
my legal representation.
Good producer like Jake, I think.
The show sheet literally just has the date on it.
Oh man,
That's the show sheet. So
Well,
Didn't you get the
that's
link?
all you
Didn't
need.
you get the join link to the show, Matt?
no, yeah, I got that.
Okay, then I think
and
you're
you
ready
call
to go.
yourself a professional. Ugh.
No, I have never called myself a professional.
No, obviously, we brought you on, Matt. Probably the second most famous thing that you are known for. Right behind your Brussels sprouts takes.
Yep.
Which really took you over the top. What I really need to know, since you're on the open bar, you're quite the beer connoisseur. So right now, just in not necessarily any particular order,
top
or
five.
in a very specific order, whatever you prefer, your current top 5 power ranking in beers. What you're liking right now, what you're vibing to.
This is the hardest question I've ever gotten because this is a tough one. Because I try to just consume as much beer as possible. I should have a beer right now. What am I doing?
I really don't know what you're doing.
it's called the open bar, Matthew.
Well, I didn't get any part of the show sheet, so I clearly don't. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say.
You can go grab a beer at any time.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do that after I answer this question. Okay. So number one is I always try to, and this is not an order of top 5. This is just in general off the cuff. Number one is always Dale's Pale Ale. Is always one of my favorites.
In the can.
Yeah, from the can, because it's not only is it it's like good enough that it's a quality beer, but you can drink a fair few amount of them. So if you want to have like 4 or 5 on an outside setting, or 8, whatever. Yeah, I'm not going to advocate too much, but whatever.
Quantity.
Yeah. You want to have a little quantity, then it's something you can go for. I'm always a big fan of everything Stone puts out, so I think that's my favorite. Brewery out here, and I think their Tangerine Express IPA is probably my favorite beer of theirs. You can get that in a can a lot out here. I'm an IPA guy, so another IPA that I really like is the Blood. What is it called? It's like Flesh and Blood IPA from Dogfish Head. Is a really good one. There's another brewery that I was just at the Angel City Brewery in downtown LA this past weekend, and I'm not like a big wheat beer guy, but they had a citrus wheat there that was incredible. Probably like it was easily the best wheat beer I've ever had. So I'm gonna put that up there. Maybe a little bit of recency bias, but it's a fantasy podcast, so who cares?
It's a power rankings. It's a power ranking. Right? It's whatever's floating your boat right now.
Recency bias.
It's a little recency bias fantasy podcast. It makes sense. And one more I'll give a shout out to is a Boont Amber Ale. It's another one from out here in the West Coast, and I'm a big Amber fan, and I know I put Dale's up there earlier, but I'll give another shout out to one from there. So, and honorable mention. I'll do honorable mention for back for my home state. The Vienna Lager from
VA.
Yeah, from VA. That's from Devil's Backbone. That's a great one. That's another very, very drinkable one. So there we go. That's a top 5 and an honorable mention.
It's like he's done this before.
So you did read the first question.
Yeah.
Well,
Prepared.
like I said, I am a professional. Well, honestly, that was like the 5 beers that I've had most recently. So
It's okay.
I don't even know.
Okay.
Earlier today.
Yeah, right. Since I woke up, those are the 5 beers I've had. No.
My memory is a little blurry right now.
Yeah, right. We're talking. You had me on to talk running backs, right?
I really want to try to go all show without talking about one wide receiver.
Oh my God, that'd be fantastic.
Can we do that?
You haven't done that yet, have you?
I bet he hasn't.
I'm telling you,
first.
I was on the Dynasty Happy Hour pod. It's a theme with you people. You guys like to draft things. And
sorry. What do you mean, you people?
You know exactly what I mean, man. You know exactly what I mean.
Just curious.
Draft Twitter.
Yeah, you fantasy weirdos. Obviously, I'm not a part of that. I'm gonna put myself outside. But I was on their podcast and they said, we're going to ask you also outside of a wide receiver, who's your favorite rookie in this class? I'm like, thank you. I can get a, drop another take other than just the wide receivers. I got a lot of other opinions on a lot of other things.
That can't be true.
Well, and we've already talked beer and handsome men, which is, I guess, right in my wheelhouse.
So that brings
like
me that brings me to a question, Matt. How much, I know so much of your time is designated to your reception perception, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. How much time do you put into, I don't know if you want to say scouting, but evaluating these other positions, rookie positions, and are you a big fan of the NFL draft in general? Do you look at any defensive players, or how like where's that priority for you outside of wide receivers?
Yeah, I mean, receivers are obviously the biggest priority because of reception perception, and that takes a lot of time. It's not like I'm just sitting down and watching like 3 cut-ups and moving on with these receivers, and spending a lot of time charting all the routes and everything for each individual player. So it's definitely not as big of a priority, but I like to look at the running backs because I really like the running back position. I'm not like a quarterback expert at all, so it's more just based on like feel and what I kind of just what I gauge from watching and looking at some stats and everything like that too. But so it's not a big priority, but I love the draft. And I feel this draft in particular has been just overstocked with storylines, and especially because of all the quarterbacks, just a lot of fascinating things to discuss. And I think that it's so much a reflection of where the league is going. I've talked about this on a fair few amount of shows too, that I've thought that this draft has not been as boring in the lead up to it. I'm ready for the draft to happen, no doubt about it, but I'm also not sitting here like, all these but before this week, because it's kind of old at this point. But this past month, I haven't been as annoyed with the draft process because there's so many storylines, and that's part of what I love about the draft. I think with the football offseason, it's probably my favorite time of year.
Yeah, I think that part of what makes this draft special in a certain regard is how close a lot of these prospects are to each other, and we literally have no idea even how this top 10 is really going to go. Maybe the back half we have a better idea, but I mean, even with these quarterbacks, we don't know what's going to happen. So I think that's helped to make this draft process, this pre-draft process, not maybe as boring as years past.
I'm gonna get a beer. I'll be right back.
Yes. Priorities.
Yes. I mean, you're asking a tough question, so I might as well drink for it.
Very curious to see if it is one of the 5 from the list.
Mm-hmm.
I bet
So
no.
what do we do now? We we don't really have a show.
We've never had a show.
I know, but I mean,
Ever.
Matt's gone. So
How was your day?
Commercial time.
Are you down? Have you been reading Twitter over and over and over and over again? Well, guess what? The Open Bar is back and live Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern. And we're here right before the NFL draft. Are you bored of reading Twitter? Listen to us.
Back to regularly scheduled program.
Intro. People are going to be confused when that's the intro and then it's later in the show as well.
It sounded like you were going to be on loop for a second, like you were just a looping commercial. Are you tired? Like, whoa, what is going on here?
it kind of sounded like I just put something up to the mic, didn't I?
Yes.
We have a pill for you.
Oh man.
Hey now.
If you're still talking about Baker Mayfield for 36 hours, please consult your doctor.
Facts.
Elliot, Chris, we're talking to you, my man.
Oh, I can't wait to see what his reaction is.
You're not still bitter about being stood up in New York, are you, Gabe?
Kind of.
Whoa! Who stood you up?
Let's not talk about
wow. Wow.
We've
It's
moved
so
on.
funny that you asked that, Matt. Let's get into that again.
Yeah,
We've
I'm
talked
into
about
honors.
relationship.
we
I'm
put
into
this
talking
huge,
drama.
we put this huge thing on Twitter. A bunch of fans were going to show up to see the NFL draft talker. Chris, the Sal. What's his last
Lido.
name? Lido. That's it. Lido Sal, right. And the Dynasty Frank, whatever he is. And,
Well, now this is getting bad.
No one showed up, Matt. It was just me, and people were disappointed. They didn't get it.
That's unfortunate.
I put my hair in cornrows. I took them out of cornrows to crimp my hair. I did everything I could, but they were not impressed.
I can't believe people didn't want to come to a Frank event.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Get cussed out
Well,
all
it
day
was
long.
it was a Frank
Who
coming
doesn't
to
want
a
that?
Frank event. That was the issue.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
All right, Matt, what are you drinking though?
All right, I've got the Stone Ruination double IPA.
Okay, so you have the Stones to put Stone in your top 5 and actually drink the Stone.
Yeah, different type of beer though than the one that was in my top 5. This actually comes from, so my girlfriend got me hooked on. Well, she didn't get me hooked on it, but she made me go to Costco. She's like a big Costco truther, and I'm like, this is not my scene. Too many people. But some of the stuff you get there is good.
Wait. You don't like buying in bulk for you and Charlie?
Yeah, right. Like it's me and Chuck in this tiny little apartment. Like I don't need all this stuff.
He
But
goes through like a 5-pound bag of dog food every 6 months.
no, man, that dog does not eat much. He is not pulling the weight here. But there are some things that they sell that I like. Like they have this, pretty good price for this big 24 pack of beers that, you buy a 12 pack and it's like $19. This I got for like 24. So pretty solid, kind of coming towards the tail end of that. And so we're still working through that. But other than that, not too interested in the Costco scene, but you got to pick your battles. Am I right?
Fact. If you like that girl, then yes.
You
enjoy.
she aight.
Yeah, I know.
Is there any possibility I could at her on Twitter right now? Just make sure
Nope.
that she understands.
Nope. But you saw. Well, so I did tweet today about like I think Mike Freeman from Bleacher Report tweeted out that some of the like scouts are asking players about like their girlfriend, or that's like a popular question.
Oh, yeah.
And the theme of these prospect interviews is they like want to make them squirm, or they want to make me uncomfortable or make you uncomfortable. So I quote you and that said, "Yeah, this question works on me 10 times out of 10, makes me uncomfortable."
Is he the
And
one?
she does follow me on Twitter and sent me that tweet and said, "Yeah, this makes me feel real good to like read this sort of stuff on your feed." I'm like, sorry, comes with the territory.
Oops.
I will do anything for a good joke.
Well, sure.
Look, baby,
with that,
if you
with
love
that
me.
said, I mean, we have the kind of power ranking going here. Let's just do a top 5 girlfriends for you, Matt.
Ooh. Where them skeletons
Rankings.
at? Hey.
Nope.
You have to pay him a lot of money for that one.
He's like, can we talk about wide receivers right now?
Yeah, all right. So Calvin Ridley, he's old, huh? How about that?
I know I said I didn't necessarily want to talk wide receivers,
Yeah,
but all
now
of a
you-
sudden,
how you
wide
feel?
receiver sounds real good.
Yeah.
Real
If these are the alternatives, I think I'll just go back to what I know. We'll talk about those receivers, huh?
How about the handsome QB? Could you rank their, hypothetical girlfriends?
Yeah, sure. I know Baker has a girlfriend because I heard him on an ESPN podcast saying that he and his girlfriend were like for his birthday they took a trip to Santa Barbara up for the weekend for his birthday. I'm like, must be nice, pal. Yeah, but so I bet you I don't know. I could. You know what? I'm not gonna get into this. This is a trap. I'm gonna lose my job off this podcast. I can already feel it.
Don't get fired, Harmon.
I
Don't
only
get fired.
said hypothetical for our boy Sam. So we still don't know. But I mean, well, I shouldn't even say that. Once he gets drafted, I'm sure he'll be just fine.
Darnold is
Yeah,
so
right.
young. Like, I mean, he's only like 20 right now, right? Or has he turned 21
He's
yet?
20. He's 20. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Is
He's
he
the
your?
youngest top 5 pick ever, I believe.
Yep.
Is he your favorite quarterback of this bunch?
No, Lamar Jackson's my favorite quarterback of the bunch.
Hey.
When that on the other podcast when they asked who's my favorite non-wide receiver in the draft. I think it's Lamar Jackson. I just am such a fan of watching him play. I don't know if he's, again, I'm no quarterback expert. I don't know if he's the best quarterback in the draft, but he's definitely my favorite and someone I want to see succeed because I think not only obviously does he bring so much with his rushing ability, but I think he's a great middle of the field passer. And so much of the NFL game today is based on that middle of the field, sort of 10 yards out and 10 yards from the point of release. And I think he can thrive in that area, even if he's not a great like outside the numbers passer yet. So I just really want to see him succeed. And plus, I just think that he's fun. He's a fun guy too. Like, I don't know if you watched the like combine interviews with him. Those were awesome to just kind of see him like when the one guy asked him again, do you want to be like a gadget quarterback or whatever? And he just, before the guys even answered, he's like throwing a hand up like, what do you do? Like, I want to see those guys succeed.
And is that for fantasy? Or is that real life?
Oh, real life. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Fantasy, obviously, with the rushing ability that's there. But, I just think that those guys can create offense even if they're not good, even if they're not great passers right away because of the way they can run. And if they're accurate over the middle of the field, because that's – if people remember Robert Griffin III, like I know that's an easy comparison to make, and I'm not necessarily saying that just because – of the styles that they play, but that is important to it too. Like, not only was he great off those read option plays, but so much of that Shanahan system asks you to throw over the middle of the field, really concentrated passes in that area. And he was just great on those. I mean, he would hit Pierre Garçon accurately on slants and just leave so much room to get yards after the catch. And I think that Jackson can thrive in a similar situation. So I really hope he ends up going to a great spot. Like, I want, because Baltimore is like collecting all of my former sons that have not worked out elsewhere in reception perception. I want to see him go to I want to see Lamar Jackson go to Baltimore and take that offense over.
Yeah, those RPOs open up so much of the middle of the field too. Like Robert Griffin Jr.'s, or the third, I shouldn't say junior, Robert Griffin's rookie season. Man, Pierre Garçon was open so much on those RPO play action fakes that, people are biting because of the run threat there. Then Pierre Garçon's wide open on a slant route.
And I'll say this too, like with there's so much about like, is that sustainable and everything? But I think it is, because again, so much of the passing game is based on that middle of the field these days in the NFL. That's why with some of these guys, I think the way traditional scouts like critique them is kind of, it's kind of a moot point now, because there's just so few deep out passes in the NFL. I saw Graham Barfield tweet this out today that, everybody wants to talk about who is the best deep passer and who can throw it the farthest and with great accuracy on deep throws. But throws that traveled 20 plus yards in the air only make up about 6% of the throws in the NFL today. So much of it is based on anticipation over the middle of the field. So I think that there is some sustainability in that offense, and especially with the game continuing to evolve. Like, I don't know how about you guys feel about this, but I feel like since when I started like just blogging about football like 4 years ago or whatever, I feel the game has changed so much just in that short amount of time. And I am interested to see where it's going to be, even 4 years from now.
I think we talked about it last week too. Like, I remember not that long ago where if a college quarterback wasn't taking snaps under center, that was like a big concern. And now it's like 80% of passing plays, or 80% of snaps, was it?
Dropbacks.
Dropbacks are shotgun formation. So it's funny how things change so fast, and it's the coaches that can change with the times that are successful.
Yep. Before too long, we probably won't be talking about the quarterback. We'll be talking about 3 running back sets, and tackles will be lining up out wide. So it'll be rugby.
I doubt it. With safety concerns, that seems a little dangerous.
Not going less pads.
I want the NFL to last a really long time so I can have a job for a really long time, because I don't think I can do anything else at this point, guys. I'll tell you what. Like, I don't think I can have a real job anymore. Now that my job is just make takes about football, I don't know that I'm good for anything else.
I
just
think you've
rank
done pretty
beers
well
and-
so far on beer selections,
Handsomeness.
handsomeness. You might be able to write for GQ.
I was gonna say, but see, that's just all take making. So I guess I can be could create some other type of content maybe, but I don't want to push it. I don't want to push my luck.
To put a quick break in this, something happened just now on Twitter, and I have to share it because it might be the apex of my life. If you guys aren't already, you need to be following the Casey Kasem, the first lady of the open bar. That's our homegirl. And she just dropped a dope rhyme about our show, Gabe. I had to mute myself to listen to it for a second. It's about 1 minute and 16 seconds long.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. I just retweeted it. She's pretty awesome. So whatever you're doing, Casey, you're the bomb. And y'all should check that out sometime sooner rather than later.
I'm gonna I'll put that in.
Please add it
Whenever.
somehow.
But I'll definitely put it in at the end of the show. At the very least.
She's a boss. Thank you, Casey.
You're so dope.
Thank you. Anyhow, switching gears the chat is lit. I think when someone says, hey, we've got Matt Harmon, Reception Perception Wonderkind on, people tend to gravitate to our show, which is kind of cool. I mean, Robbie, we like you and all, but you're no boy, young boy.
I thought they were here for me.
So shouts to
Robbie. They are.
Mike Stepney, Kyle's up in here. We've got Kenny, we've got Zach from the Dummies, we've got Dwight Peoples champ up in this place up from DHH. Dougie Fresh is in the building. Tons of fun folks. And people came on wondering why. Oh, the Butcher. I'm sorry. I thought I said you, Matt. I thought I said you first. The Butcher's here, Dynasty Butcher. People kind of walked in. Oh, and JDB, John DeBari, that dude. People were wondering why, Matt, you weren't talking wide receivers. So maybe they missed that first part where we're trying to do other things.
We're not going to either. So
we're marathoning.
Head out. Get out.
Sorry.
So for everyone who might be a tad disappointed, if you'd like to hear Matt's thoughts, you can do one of a few things. You can go purchase the Ultimate Draft Kit from the Fantasy Footballers. You can listen to the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. They just had Matt on. Or you can listen to the Fantasy Footballers that just dropped today, also talking about reception perception. We're going to have more fun than that.
Twitter too. I mean, very to just throw up some GIFs of some wide receivers every once in a while, just to, little tease.
Fact.
Yeah, no, you can do. You can do any one of those things, but we're bringing some originality. I like this.
Very good. So, in order to keep with not going to wide receivers, I do want to make sure that we get this open bar rookie roast in.
Oh my God.
Is this a good time for this, Gabe? Can I do that?
We've gone through like half the show and I had no idea. Okay. Yeah.
We don't have to spend a ton of time here, but we did talk about it, so I want to get it out there. For those that may not know, the open bar Ricky Roast was a hashtag that we've been using over the last 24 to 48 hours. It was from the brain of our dear friend, Mr. David Berger, Emmy award-winning producer, I might add, of the United Shades of America, which you can check out on CNN. I think he's got a season premiere coming up, 10 p.m. I think it's either on Tuesday or Thursday. I can't remember. But it's on CNN, so check that out if you would. But he thought, hey, why don't we roast these rookies a little bit before we actually get to the NFL draft and they have landings and things of that nature. So I want to go through some of the best ones that I've seen on here because there's been some fire things that we can talk about. And kind of what kicked off the show today, which might be my favorite rookie roast that we've done thus far or that I've seen. Shout out to @DHH Scout. He hit us with Sam Darnold was just taken 101 in the least likely to steal your girl mock draft. That is by far my favorite one. So I don't even know I don't know what his first name is,
Chris,
but
right?
at DHH Scout.
Is it Chris? Or am I confusing?
No, that's not Svoboda.
We'll call him Chris.
No.
We'll
that's
call him
Svoboda.
Chris. Sure.
I was thinking of TFA Chris, I think.
Yeah. So
late.
shouts to
Roll with
you.
it.
That's a winner.
Mhm.
And the picture that he put, I'm gonna have to pull that up. This one's from David. This was from David Berger, and we don't have to dive into the wide receiver talk, but Auden Tate is built like a transformer. The only problem is when he springs into action, he doesn't turn into a sports car. It's more like a parked Jeep. That's so cold.
It's really mean.
Yeah.
A Jeep might be too fast, though.
It's parked, though. It doesn't even matter
I guess
what
it
vehicle
doesn't matter
it is.
what car it is, right?
No, it's just a parked vehicle. I mean,
But at least that has the capability going fast. You should have said like a tank.
I like that one much better. Like a Panzer Shrek. Yes, please, that.
like a parked Mini Cooper. I'm just saying I didn't.
Why's it gotta be a Mini Cooper though?
I don't know. I want
Looking
David to explain the Jeep thing. I think it's hilarious for one, but I just didn't understand the Jeep part. Is that like in the Transformers movie? Is that why they transform into Jeeps?
Probably.
Is Transformers sponsored by Jeep? Is the open bar sponsored by Jeep?
Sponsored by Open Bar. I
No,
was gonna
we've said
say.
Jeep way too many times,
It
and
is
we don't
now.
get paid a lick.
No, but Open Bar's sponsored by Transformers, so
Wow.
Ooh, robots in disguise. I like that.
And you guys got better sponsors than we do on the NFL Fantasy Podcast.
What's that?
Well,
No, I don't know.
our sponsors are so big that we don't even have to name them. We don't even have to talk
fact.
about them on the show.
That's impressive.
So it might not seem like we have a bunch, but we do.
The list is in your sheet that you got at the beginning.
Yeah,
of the show.
great point, Robbie. The list of our sponsors is on the show sheet that you should have gotten.
Oh, this whole not having the show sheet thing is really killing me here.
Yeah, you
Really fell through.
I got to talk to my people about this.
At DHH Adam, Cortland Sutton strides like a gazelle, but one of the gazelles that gets separated from the pack is specifically targeted and inevitably caught by the lion as we watch in disgust but can't look away. That's so mean.
I was like reading through that, and I was like, I was ready to be mad, and then he said gazelle, and I was like, okay, and then he said like separation, and then he said like getting caught up, and then he said like wanted to look but couldn't look away, kind of thing. So I was very up and down on that tweet because I just wanted to hate him the whole time. I'm a Sutton guy, but I just wasn't sure where to go. But I think ultimately I hate you, Adam. So you're busting my Suttons, homie, and I don't appreciate it.
This one again from David Berger. Calvin Ridley is so old. He hung out with OJ and AC years before the murder. Oof.
You should have let me
is that-
say.
Are we allowed to say that one on air?
You should have let
Is
me
that
say,
too-
How old is he?
He's so old. He knew OJ did. There's one more specifically I definitely want to read. I'm sorry. Give me a second.
I can't believe we got an OJ joke here in the year 2018.
Impressive.
Some
to
things
bring
never
that
die.
back.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
Wow.
Dang.
okay.
Not cool. Not cool.
Yeah, say another one already, J. Mike. Let's.
From our friend FL2 Drink Minimum on Twitter. He just had a list of superlatives. I like this one.
This was fantastic.
Yes. The winner of the Whitest Kicks Award, Josh Rosen. I could totally see him rocking white kicks like 100% of the time.
With the black socks, thinking he's tough.
The Don't Go In There After Me Award, Vita Vea. You could totally see him destroying a toilet.
I hope everyone is getting the Office reference right now
Yes, I hope so too.
from the Dundies.
The Bushier Beaver Award goes to Hayden Hurst.
Ugh.
I'm worried.
Hottest in the office, Saquon Barkley. I mean, have you seen the man live life? He's ravishing.
He's thick. He's THICC thick.
I'm yeah, 2 C's. I mean, daggone. Throw some spinners on that thing. The Fine Work Award goes to Calvin Ridley.
I don't know why that was really funny.
That kind of sounds like a car, the Saquon Barkley.
And last but not least, the Tight Ass Award. The one, the only Josh Allen. Speaking of Josh Allen. Speaking of Josh Allen, Matt, are you one of the people who think that Josh Allen can make it happen?
No, but here's why I really want it to happen, because nobody else, like everybody is not about this guy, you know? And I mean, I think the problems are obvious, you know, but like when I first started out this, like the draft process, kind of hopping in, you know, because I come in, you know, after the NFL season's over, I'm not like watching these guys routinely or anything. I'm not like an actual draft analyst. But I know what people think about players because, you know, I have a Twitter account. And like you know, coming in, I knew obviously what the deal with Josh Allen was, but like at that time I was like, man, all y'all that are telling me that Josh Allen can't play are the same ones that told me that Carson Wentz can't play. And we saw how that turned out. So right away I'm skeptical.
True.
Also, as like a true contrarian, you know, I really like everybody thinks Josh Allen sucks, so I really want to think he's great, but I can't.
Built it up.
It's a really
Built it up
tough
for that.
on Twitter. You will lose followers if you like Josh Allen.
Well, and it's like, well, this is the thing too. Like nobody has had an original Josh Allen take for about a month now. Like it's the same. I saw a couple people still today like posting gifs of him like missing throws. I'm like, holy shit! Like, can I curse on here? Is that fine?
Go for it.
I already did. Well, holy shit! Like you not have your Josh Allen's not accurate. Like, damn, hadn't heard. Like drafts in 2 days. I think we figured it out by now. Like, what point are you proving? Like. Oh, man, yeah, you're right. It is weird that he's getting propped up this much despite the fact that he has nothing of a resume. Yeah, it's weird, but we've been here before. Who do you think like is coming into this process right now that follows you on Twitter that's like, you know, I've really learned something from this tweet. Like, give it a rest, you know? Like, I don't know, but I go back and forth on it so much.
Guess who loves Josh Allen and guess who watches only highlight tapes? Probably owners. Oh, they're like, dude, this Josh Allen kid. Have you seen the throws that he makes? And that's part of why he's so polarizing. Is some of the throws he makes are extremely accurate and unbelievable. I mean, some of the throws he's made are the best that you will see in this class. So if you are only going from that standpoint and you think for some reason he can improve on his 50% completion percentage throughout his whole career, including high school and JUCO, then man, yeah, if he could become a 60%, 65% completion quarterback with the tools that he has, with the arm talent that he has, then yes, I mean, he has arguably the biggest upside in this class. But there are huge concerns.
I think that's one thing you add to the drinking rules for the NFL draft will be how many times do they say Josh Allen has the highest potential or a large amount of potential when you're watching NFL draft. That's
no one has that much beer.
Great call.
Matt is going to run out of beer.
Yeah, I will be. I don't have any work assignments because I'm not that important yet for the draft night. I will be at a bar, and I guess I'll just like tell them just keep a keg separate for me for that one. Yeah. Here's the thing though. I hear your point, Jake, about like the highlights are the best in the class or whatever, but man, there are some like the low lights are the worst.
Oh, there's no doubt. and that needs to make a low light highlight reel.
Just cut on the Boise tape, man. There's some throws on there that like I've never. I mean, it's like, you know, Charlie Whitehurst level stuff, man. And I hate to take a shot at Clipboard Jesus like that. And I'm sorry. Please forgive me, but you know, Gabe's third cousin over there. But you know.
I was going to say he makes Gabe blush because of his hair.
You know, nevertheless, like I mean, there's some just awful stuff in there, and I don't know how anybody can be confident in it, but you know what? So much of you mentioned like the owners and everything, and so much of the process I think with quarterbacks that we overlook on the outside is like how comfortable do you feel with the person? And I don't know how to evaluate these people as people because I don't know them. But the people that do meet them, I do think that ends up skewing them a lot because I'd even tell you from meeting some prospects, and like getting to interview them at the network, like I come away thinking like, damn, yeah, no, this guy's going to be good because you just meet a human being and you're a little more apt to like buy into them. And I bet Josh Allen is probably a very, people do seem to like him. He seems to have a good personality.
He's a farm boy. I mean, I can relate to that.
Yeah, so I don't know, man.
Small-town farm boy.
I got a lot of conflicting factors here with the whole Josh Allen thing. But at the end of the day,
look at that hair.
That's beautiful.
I mean, check out my salad though. That is totally your cousin, Gabe.
Oh, let it flow. Can you get a fan right now?
I'm kind of curious where I land on this top 5 handsome QBs list.
Come on,
nowhere near Charlie. I know that.
It would be just a picture of your Fu Manchu. That's it.
I'm just trying to compete with Sam. That's all I know.
Yeah, come on, man. Don't do this to yourself.
It's fair. Good point. Oh, Charlie. Oh, Charlie.
That's a sweet salad.
Yeah,
Miss him.
It's a sweet salad.
Is there any like kind of small school effect for Josh Allen? Because everyone, it worked with Carson Wentz.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
That where people are at too? That with potential, that Carson Wentz had the most potential, just because no one had any idea what he was and what he played against or anything. So
the NFL is totally subject to recency bias, just narrative. That sort of stuff. So I completely buy into the fact that because Carson Wentz worked out, people are willing to be like, oh, Josh Allen, basically the same player. We can make it work, sort of thing. I 100% believe that the NFL is just really reactionary like that. So there's no doubt about it.
I feel God, two horrible comparisons.
One extreme to the other.
That's like those crazy
so
uncle.
Much success.
If you and Charlie Whitehurst had a crazy uncle, like this would be him.
Oh gosh,
that's not what I wanted to see. That's one of my 30. That's one of my 31 bosses. So you need to relax.
That was per request of Matt Threet. You're welcome. You're welcome, Butcher. So
it's amazing that he pays his stylist. He has a stylist.
Yes, I've heard.
Yeah,
that
Jimmy, you know how I like it.
So awful. So let me ask this, Robbie. Are you at all in the Josh Allen camp in terms of being able to think that he'll do any sort of anything in the NFL besides rock a clipboard like a boss?
No, I think it's interesting with the Carson Wentz comparison because Carson Wentz just kind of lit it up in college. I mean, I know it was the FCS and not the FBS, but I mean, his team had success every single time. And I mean, Josh Allen was at Wyoming where, like we all said, he had his struggles against Boise State and got crushed against Iowa. There's just a lot of games where he just didn't perform well where Carson Wentz did. And so it's interesting. I guess they both have really big arms, and that's a comparison you can make. But other than that, their college careers were just totally different. So I know I'm not on the Josh Allen bandwagon, but like Matt said, I do like to root for an underdog, and he's just getting piled on. So I've kind of just laid off and said, he is where he is. If he falls enough, he can be a value, whether you're talking about an NFL team or a fantasy draft. But he's definitely not in my top 4 at all.
So will he be on any of your dynasty teams, guys? Everybody answer. Will Josh Allen be on any of your dynasty teams?
Yes, he will.
Not if John Bosch is in that league.
That's true.
Is Bosch a Josh Allen guy?
He likes him for fantasy purposes, but I think
about fantasy insanity. Am I right?
Fact.
I think he makes a good point is that he's going to have a lot of draft capital behind him because he's so bad. He's probably going to be behind in a lot of games, and you're also going to get him very late, where there's not a whole lot of risk involved with drafting him, especially in a super flex league. All these people are on Twitter. They realize how much hate is going on after Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a starting quarterback, you have value. So is he worse than Blake Bortles?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Here's
Jake,
the thing,
though.
you
you cannot come on this show.
Oh, I just did.
Out of all shows,
I just
and
did.
besmirch the great name of the AFC South champion, leading the team to the AFC title game.
What's your
Blake
definition
Bortles,
of leading?
being the quarterback of the team who gets there.
Okay, he's a quarterback.
You know what? You're being a real douche nugget right now, and I don't like it. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, this is only the second podcast ever I've been on where another host is called the other douche nugget, but that's neither here nor there. The thing
words wanted to be said.
Yeah,
I want to know who was copying us. Is what I want to know.
Yeah, what was that podcast?
It's some crazy radio station down in Florida, so I don't want to know. No, it was NFL Network. Patrick Clinton. No, I'm just kidding. But for real, what was it? What were we talking about? We talking about Josh Allen, right? The thing about it is though, like one situation I keep coming back to with Josh Allen is Paxton Lynch in Denver. And, I don't know that there's going to be this. I wonder if this is an area where the NFL is changing, that if you don't get on the field and show any promise, I think because you're no longer paying these first-round quarterbacks big market money like they used to before the rookie pay scale, I think teams are a little quicker to pull the hook, So I do wonder if that's going to be a situation. And it's going to come down to, like, landing spot with Josh Allen, too, because, man, if he ends up in Buffalo – talk about a nightmare. I mean, they've got nothing on that offense. They've got Kelvin Benjamin, like maybe Kelvin Benjamin and Charles Clay combined make one good pass catcher.
McCoy's and he's probably got 1 year left in him.
And their line has been just completely decimated. So they don't have much. I mean, Zay Jones, who knows what the hell is going on there.
LSD is going on there.
Yeah, that's rough. So I don't know, man. Like if he ends up in Buffalo, that's like a nightmare situation waiting to happen. I think so much of it's going to come down to where he goes, and I do think teams are ready and willing to throw in the towel with these quarterbacks more right away. It's kind of a two-way scenario though too, because you see other teams really go sell out and surround them with a bunch of talent. But the Paxton Lynch example is a one that I come back to a lot with these young quarterbacks, and that like John Elway, who I think is probably one of the more, let's just say, self-assured human beings running an NFL front office. And the fact that he's even like 2-3 years into the Paxton Lynch thing, like, oh no, that's not gonna work out. Like that says a lot to me.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I don't. Is there any way that any quarterback in this top 5, including Josh Allen, is going to be less prepared than Paxton Lynch is on a week-to-week basis?
It depends on how much. I mean, I think that the good news about Josh Allen is that it does sound like he really wants to be great, which that's all the rumblings coming out of Denver, is that Paxton Lynch doesn't exactly care all that much. So, or at least doesn't know that, he's not putting in the preparation aspect of it. I know Cecil Lammey always talks about how much Xbox he plays.
Yeah. So, he's a gamer though.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know, but but again, this quarterback class is so fascinating to me. And the Josh Allen part of it is interesting just because like there's never, it's just almost like why? Where does it come from? And like I said, nobody's had an original Josh Allen take in like a month, and I haven't said anything original here yet since we started talking about it.
I love going back to this tweet just because we were talking about how bereft Buffalo is of weapons. Heath Cummings back in January this year, and if we can all take a look back down memory lane. The 2014 Buffalo Bills wide receiving corps: Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods, Chris Hogan, Marquise Goodwin.
That's
he
wild.
ends between.
And we thought
really
that was a
solid
bad
working
wide
guy.
receiving core at one time.
Yes, we
All
did.
We did.
respective, like wide receiver ones on their team, arguably. I mean, maybe not Goodwin, but because of Garcon. But I mean,
But
wow.
maybe. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to think.
Buffalo. God,
Hey, what does
that's
that
awful.
does that say? Look? I'm a Tyrod guy, but does that say anything about Tyrod to you guys at all? Because I know,
Here we go.
but because I know that, like, Buffalo fans for whatever reason seem like they were almost like brainwashed to the point where like they think that Tyrod sucks. But I like Tyrod Taylor. I think he's a very low level starting quarterback in the NFL, like a good bridge guy, probably more like an ideal backup. I like watching him play. I've always rooted for him, but doesn't like totally asking you guys without an agenda. Does that say anything about it to you? The fact that all these receivers
absolutely does. It absolutely does. And I think part of the
Especially with
problem
Robert Woods. I mean, just looking at all of them individually, you could find success. I mean, Robert Woods, we all kind of left for dead.
Yeah,
And
we did.
Jared Goff to prop him up. I mean, no one expected that. And maybe, we've talked about this plenty of times. The McVay probably was part of that more so than Jared Goff, but and Sammy Watkins finding more success than he really ever did in Buffalo. Marquise Goodwin had some times in San Fran. So yeah, totally. And Chris Hogan, obviously.
I think, though, if you do look at it, like all four of those guys, because Watkins and Woods both went to LA, Goodwin to San Francisco, Hogan to New England, like all of those guys have ended up with great offensive minds that I think are kind of ahead of the curve at the wide receiver position and being able to identify roles and say, hey, I know you don't do everything, but you can do these two things well, and we're going to put you in a role to succeed in that fashion. And I think all of those guys, Watkins included, are all mostly just role players. Watkins obviously is the best of the bunch, but they all thrive in one specific way or another. And I think that Shanahan, McVay, and Josh McDaniels / Bill Belichick in New England really are able to identify wide receiver roles better than anybody. So that would be the one kind of caveat, I guess, is that they all went to these offensive minds that are really great at deploying players. So maybe that does say more about the way they were used in Buffalo as opposed to the quarterback they played with, because I don't think that Buffalo has ever exactly hoisted up a great offensive mind there over the last few years.
That's a good point, but I got to go to J Mike right now because there's some thoughts of brewing. I think Matt just disrespected Sammy Watkins and J
I
Mike.
think he was
has
looking at
things-
something else. The timing
Oh,
was just
no,
impeccable
no.
there. I
I
think it was
saw-
just the
I saw
timing.
There's
I saw the evil in
There's
J Mike's
so
eyes
much.
for a second there.
Yeah, no, there's so much I'd like to address, but I will not derail how much good forward motion we have. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. So the in the chat, and as someone pointed out in the chat, Dwight did. Shout out to the People's Champ. Again, when Matt Harmon comes on our show for the first time, it brings everyone out. Pacific Scouting, holla at your boy, Mr. Cheney, LJ in the building with us.
LJ's here.
Yeah, LJ. I like LJ a lot. He does good work over
My man.
Debbie Watch. Zach, again, from the Dynasty Dummies. And let me know if this is true. And maybe, Mr. Harmon, you might have to blink twice just so nobody from the NFL comes to kick down your door. Okay, so he says that he's a good bridge guy is NFL Network for this guy blows. Blink twice if that's true.
No, it's not that he blows.
Okay. I just want to make sure that
we've got some coded language for when we want to say a player sucks, but we can't. But that's not one of them.
Fair enough.
I normally just tell when producers will say like, "Hey, do you want to talk about this guy?" and I don't have like anything nice to say, I'll just kind of say I don't have any takes on that one. Let's just keep moving.
Kind of good to know, though, really.
Be looking for that.
Anyone you don't talk about, you don't like. Got it.
Yeah, no, for real.
But
Honestly, that is kind of true, because I've just found it so much easier to not bring up people will always be worse to you if you're negative on a guy and you're wrong about him. Like, nobody ever comes back and be like, hey man, you hated Tyler Boyd, like hell of a call on that one. Nobody cares about that.
Right.
But if you don't like a guy and he's good, you're going to hear it forever. And it just doesn't really it doesn't really do anything for you. Not that like being right or wrong does anything. Like that's the little breaking news for all you guys and everybody watching. Like, you know what doesn't matter at all in this business is how right you are about stuff. You know, it's never happened to me. Like my boss has never come up to me and be like, you know, Harmon had a hell of a good month. All your starts and sits, nailed it.
Except after the A-Rob year.
No, man, you know that didn't do a damn thing for me career wise, other than get some Twitter likes, which doesn't matter in the end of the day. So, I mean, the only reason any like analyst has an incentive to be right about stuff is just their own like personal accountability. Because there's never a point like, you know, I could get shit wrong for years and years and years, and that's never. I mean, look, you can see it across. I'm not gonna name any names, but you can see it across the business. People get shit wrong for years, and they never are.
Kuiper?
I didn't say Mel Kiper.
His initials are MK, but I didn't see that.
But I mean, there's no accountability. There's no accountability for right and wrong takes.
I mean, the Allen Robinson year, sure, got you all the likes, but just imagine what's going to happen to your career when Tyler Lockett has his year.
That's when they'll call in Fabiano, they'll call in Rank, they'll call in James Coe, and they'll be like, hey man, y'all gotta go. We're gonna clear the budget. This is just gonna be NFL fantasy.
Someone who knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, NFL fantasy Harmon live. It's just gonna be one continuous hour of me preaching. Basically.
Finally got your show, Matt.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what we're they'll take Damashek off the pod. Throw me on there.
Hey,
just all Harmon all the time.
Let me upgrade you.
No, I love Shaq and Rank. I love Rank too.
Rank is hilarious.
Yeah, Rank is the first. Look, I'll tell you, Rank is the first person in the network that like is a talent, like a TV person that ever was like that told me like, hey, you can do this. Like this is you should push for this sort of stuff. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm just a writer. But. So he's the man. I will always cape up for Adam Rank.
I was in his SFB 7 division.
Nice.
Solid dude.
Oh, I thought there was more. I was waiting.
No, it's not like we had a bromance or anything. That's as far as our relationship went. We're in the same SFB 7 division.
I thought you were going we met up for wings,
weddings, or
yeah,
groomsmen.
We're gonna meet up in New York.
I don't know if he's married.
Some good tweets about.
You probably met up with him in New York, didn't you?
Yeah, he's had some good tweets about open bars at weddings, though. I'm sure Matt has caught on to those before.
What? Open bars at weddings?
Adam Rank.
Oh yeah. No,
he's had some good tweets about open bars at weddings.
Yes, he's good for occasionally have a good tweet every now and again.
He's not as active as I like.
According to Dynasty League Football's ADP data for April, there are two rookie quarterbacks currently going after Tyrod Taylor. Would any of you guys like to guess who those two guys are?
Only two of the top 5?
Two of the top 6, and that
Luke
probably gives
Falk and Mike White. Let's just
they're too
too far down there. Too far down there, boy, young boy.
Well, you just said rookie quarterback,
I did.
It's probably Rudolph and Allen.
Yes, Tyrod Taylor going at QB 28, Josh Allen at QB 29, Mason Rudolph at QB 30. Rank those three guys. Who would you rather have on your team between those three? I mean, can you
not Rudolph?
Yeah, dude, Rudolph sucks.
Rudolph is so bad. Anybody that takes him in the first or second round,
blows.
Just Hackenberg it.
Yeah, he's a bridge. Mason Rudolph, I think he's a bridge guy.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph is a bridge quarterback 3 for you.
Yeah, I don't really get that one. I mean, I guess,
I don't get it. He's handsome. Hey, why was he not on your handsome list? Because there's no way he does not look better than Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
He might be 1A, 1B.
You're right though. That is a good point. But he only said you're only talking the top 5 quarterbacks, so I didn't throw him in there.
He's like quarterback 8.
We were just talking top 5 QB handsomeness. You could have thrown any QBs in there, Matt.
That's
You
true.
decided to put
Oh my
Darnold at
gosh.
5. That's all you.
Damn, you're right. This is my credibility is shot.
You might as well go back to Brussels
You
sprouts,
got
bro.
no chance at GQ magazine.
That GQ thing is out the window.
Oh,
Damn it.
Well, I better not mess this NFL thing up. So
Please.
he's a bridge guy, you know.
I'm just gonna shout these out randomly as I see them. Also on Twitter, hashtag Open Bar Ricky Roast. This is from our own at NFL Draft Talker. Josh Rosen once visited the Virgin Islands. They are now just called the Islands.
All right.
Nice.
All right.
You've seen the pictures of him with multiple women, right?
I know.
He had a hot tub in his dorm room.
Well, that
I'm
is
kinda
really
thinking,
good.
I'm kind of thinking he did that in like 2008. Like went to those Virgin Islands. I mean,
Yeah,
That's
that was
really-
a long time ago.
That's really presumptuous of you, but okay.
it's true.
Were you about to make a point before I randomly went somewhere else, Matt?
If I do, I don't remember it now. So I don't think so. I'm trying to look
Nice.
at some of these other quarterbacks now to see if any of these other. But you keep talking. I'm gonna look at some other quarterbacks.
He's trying to
and see.
recalculate his top 5. Handsome.
Yeah. Well, I gotta get that GQ career.
People are
going.
going to kill me on this Rudolph take.
So this is going to be, and this one's for everyone. So please, I need everybody to shout this out now. I think Gabe and I stand on different ends of this spectrum. And this is going to spin off from this again, hashtag Open Bar Ricky Roast. People might think Bo Scarborough and MSNBC's Joe Scarborough have nothing in common, but similar sounding names. But that's not true. Both of them will never play meaningful NFL football.
Oh, wow.
So what are your thoughts on Bo Scarborough?
Who said that one?
That was
Probably
also
David.
from our good friend David. Yes, at
That's-
Carl Jr. on
That's
Twitter.
pretty good.
That's a good.
I like
That's a
that
good-
a lot.
That
Shout
one's
out-
really good.
Shout out
That's a
to
good burger.
our buddy Elliot Christ and Ben Cummins. I always want to say Cummings.
Then
Cummins.
say it.
No,
Ben
no comment.
Cummins. Ben Cummins. He was on the Draft Daily Pod where
Dang it
they
so
talked
much.
about Bo Scarborough, and I thought he made some good points. I mean, the main thing is with Bo is he's an older prospect, and he's never stayed healthy, including high school football. But
Well,
Yeah,
damn, I'm
great.
sold.
had a great combine, and man, he's a massive dude. He's a Derrick Henry type of running back. If he gets a spot in the NFL where he can get a workload and stay healthy somehow, he could be a steal because he is going. I don't have DLF ADP in front of me, but I'm guessing he's going in the late 3rd round, somewhere in there. Might not be a bad flyer there as a running back prospect.
Don't you think he's like he's just coming to the NFL about like 20 years too late? You know, like for the
Oh,
style
totally.
of running back he is.
Yeah, that's what Ben talked about too on that pod. That's funny.
Oh, I have been muted, so no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Any love for Scarborough, Robbie? Where you sit?
No, I think they just hit it on the head. He just seems like he fits the NFL that used to be. He might catch on with the team late, but he's going to be a part of a committee at best, and you got to hope for injuries or something. So, no, I'd say he's one of those deep dart throws.
Yeah, they talked about a landing spot with like Carolina, which a lot of these, and that's part about this running back classes. There's not a lot of great pass catchers. There's not a lot of 3-down running backs in this class. So anybody is perfect. It's like the talk that we say anybody is good for New England. Any running back that doesn't catch passes is perfect for Carolina because they have CMC there to catch the passes, and then they can maybe use this running back in goal line situations and 1st and 2nd down situations. So that might be a good landing spot for him, but a lot of these running backs might be a good spot for Carolina that don't catch passes.
I don't think anyone's out here saying that Scarborough is going to be this elite running back either.
No.
I mean, we're all on the same page of at least as far as rookie drafts or whatever drafts. He's going to go late, you know. third round or later. I mean, what risk are you taking there?
Zero.
And I think that's totally okay. I mean, if he ends up landing in Carolina, like you just said, Carolina, that's actually good. Anywhere that he might have an opportunity just to bust through and get some work. It's not necessarily a guy that you want to draft because he's an elite prospect, but maybe as a flip candidate later down the road. Because I think he could have flashes, in the first year or two or so. I mean, you could say that about all Alabama running backs, that they just kind of happen for a year or two and then fizzle out. I mean, Eddie Lacy was top 10 dynasty prospect. Derrick Henry is hasn't even been a top 24 running back, and he's like top dynasty ADP. So it's crazy what a year can do, I suppose.
Should we talk wide receivers now, or just no?
I'm curious what J Mike has on his screen.
I'm curious what that is too.
So if I recall correctly, this was your 103 in your handsomeness rankings for rookie incoming quarterbacks.
Okay, well that's not really fair. That's not fair.
That post picture.
Imagine if he had bad acne too.
That's
not fair.
I don't know. I mean, he is dashing 6'4", 226. I mean, that's the makings of a stud.
Like Aaron Rodgers' uglier little brother.
There's some similarities.
Shouts to Kenny Pops for telling me to look that up in the chat. That's good. That is really good.
It looks like he's trying to make his head part of his neck. Like he's bringing his chin back so far that he wants to be.
It kind of looks like he's taking his fraternity photo and he's got the rest of the guys behind the camera trying to make him laugh. He's just trying to
Fact. Fact. This is the last one I'll share for a while. Hashtag open bar rookie roast. This was from our good buddy Casey Kasem with the rapping. Josh Allen probably only plays redraft. Am I right or am I right?
No, that was a good one.
Yeah, I like that. He probably does.
That was for the dynasty people. Yeah, that was
for the culture.
I should just ask her in the chat. Did she sign up for a dynasty league yet or no?
I think she did. I think she's still out.
She dipped out. Matt, how many dynasty leagues do you play in?
Currently 2.
Okay,
there's 2. It was.
What's your experience? Do you like it? Are you addicted or just kind of not?
I'm definitely not addicted. It's fine. I'm kind of cooling on. I mean, I don't love fantasy football. Is that a bad thing to say?
Yeah, you're fired.
Because I'm a fantasy analyst. Oh man,
that's literally the worst thing you could say.
Yeah, well, no, it's fine. I like it. I like it because you get to kind of invest in your own guys, the ones that you really like. That's the part that's appealing to me. Like the stuff that's difficult is kind of trying to keep up with people's values. So much of it I think is really subjective to the particular owner of that player in that particular league. But overall, yeah, I really like Dynasty, but fantasy in general, so much of it I think is difficult because it's my job and everything, and it's become so much that you're involved in so many leagues that becomes not fun. That's probably the most difficult thing is right now I'm trying to take a couple steps back and get in maybe 4 or 5 leagues this year. And maybe actually enjoy it more instead of it being oh God, it's Thursday morning. I have to try to set 12 lineups today.
Right. I have a great analogy there. As a golf instructor, I got into the business because I love golf. I love to be at the facility. I love to teach. You get in the business to play golf. I mean, that's why you get in the business, because you love the sport. And then you work at the golf course. You teach so much that on your day off, you don't necessarily want to go back to the golf course. So you end up playing a lot less than you would if it was just like a hobby for you. So that's my correlation is you love it, but since it's your work, it's not necessarily what you want to do on your free time.
Yeah, especially like when it's your own leagues, you spend so much time talking with, because I care about like making, good decisions in terms of like who I recommend for people to play, or who I recommend like people to draft, which rookies I like. I care and I put a lot of time and effort into that because I don't want to screw it up for other people. But then again, when it's like 4 p.m. on Thursday and it's time to like make my own decisions, it's like this is the last thing I like want to think about. So I'm trying to get to a space where I can actually enjoy fantasy again and not feel like it's a chore, because last year it kind of felt like it was a chore, which is like a weird thing to admit, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. So this year I'm trying to be zen. I'm trying to like refine that peaceful place with fantasy.
Yeah,
100% how I felt.
I can relate with you.
Yep.
Jump in too much too soon for sure.
As Van Burf says, make fantasy fun again.
Hey.
Yeah.
Fact.
Matt, that's a very fantasy hipster thing of you to say that. Is it okay if I don't like fantasy football?
I honestly, I want to pitch this like idea seriously. I pitched it kind of jokingly and it was shot down, but I would love to like do a whole year as like the fantasy analyst that doesn't play fantasy. See what people think of that, kind of get their reaction to it, and like, write a piece about it at the end of the year or something. Like how did it change my approach to fantasy? Like, because I think for some people they think, well, if you don't have any stake in it, then why should I listen to you? And I guess I can see the point in that. But also at the same time, like I'm rarely ever making decisions based on what I think is going to be good for me. I just want to be right and correct.
It actually might help your analysis.
That's what I thought too, but people were like, "No, you can't do that. That's stupid."
Yeah, I feel the same way.
It's your Zen year, man. Perfect opportunity.
I know. So I'm gonna pitch it again this year. I'm gonna see what people think.
Yeah.
Probably not going to go anywhere, but we'll see.
Not only do we have a Summer of Kai, what was our other one, J Mike? Summer of Kai.
Wasn't it the fall of Svoboda?
The fall of the Swoboda, and then the
ponies.
That's all I remember.
You really got to be on the game to come up with something.
No, I'm saying for Harmon, if he's quitting fantasy for the year. This just in on the open bar. Matt Harmon quits fantasy football.
Breaking news. Tell Roto World to write a blurb about it.
Just get this on Twitter right now.
Roto Pat just shot up in his seat and is blurbing it right now.
The Robbie, I do want to bring up, and I'm sorry, I am going to ask you something about receivers. I'm sorry, everyone.
Nope.
Nope. They might stop it. I've been holding off.
You just want to talk about
Robbie,
your boy, J Mike. You just want to feel the same pump.
Oh, let me talk about Anthony Miller.
No, I don't. He's not even a part of the top 5 for what I'm about to discuss.
Fair enough.
Even though he is my number 2 receiver. Anyway,
you had to throw that in there.
Just had to slip that in there. I can't keep taking the disrespect. Anyhow, Robbie has a article over on dynastyhappyhour.com. Came out back on March 31st. He was making the case for which rookie wide receiver should go first. Of the 5 that you had in the article, Robbie, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, James Washington, and Christian Kirk. Did you ever land on who you felt like should go first? And once you answer that, Harmon, who do you feel like should be drafted first?
I thought I would. I thought I would come out of there either picking the person that I liked the most going into it, but it honestly didn't happen like that. I kind of took when I read some of the reception perception, I noticed that Matt wrote a lot of positive, and he talked about it earlier, how it's easier to write more positive things than negative things, and you don't get quite as many angry tweets. Not that I'm getting nearly as many, but I talked a lot about just all of their strengths, and it just kind of blended them all in together more, honestly. So going into it, I thought I had my my rankings a little bit, and then coming out of it, it just seemed even worse. They were all just kind of together. So I honestly I can't answer. Maybe if I had to just hypothetical gun to the head, I'd just probably pick Cortland Sutton because I think he has the ability to be a number one, although it might take him longer. But you can make the case for any of them, as that's what the article is entirely about. You can honestly make the case for any of them to be number one, to be the number one pick in a fantasy draft coming up.
Just not Richie James.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, that was my wide receiver question for Matt. I've been waiting all night. Hey, Mike,
Feeling it.
stomping on my shit.
You should have put it on the show sheet.
Too many vodka gimlets tonight.
Matt, who should be first?
So one other thing that Robbie was talking about too, I think with the positivity aspect of players, it's more than just also like trying to avoid getting hate, because I don't really give a shit about that. Like, it doesn't matter. Much like I said, earlier about being wrong, like it doesn't really matter. People hating you on Twitter doesn't really matter either. It's never going to affect again, I'm never going to get called to my boss's office. Like, we noticed you've been getting a lot more mean tweets lately, so we're probably gonna have to dock you pay this month. Again, that's never really gonna happen. But the reason it is important, I think, to focus on more of the positive side of players is because I think that's what good coaches do. Is they especially with wide receivers, but really with any player, it's more about what we kind of talked about with some of those former Buffalo receivers. Like, tell me what those players can do as opposed to what they can't do. And I think good coaches will figure out with some of these rookies where they can execute. So that's more with reception perception is what I'm trying to focus on doing, is like where are these players successful and where that might fit at the NFL level, more so than, hey, this guy's not good at this. Well, that doesn't really matter as much as trying to find out the areas where they do excel and where they might fit. And after doing all that for this class, I think the guy that I feel the safest about is probably DJ Moore. Just because not only outside.
That was backwards, Jake. Just so you know.
What did I do?
No, you didn't. I'm looking at
good,
Jake Matt. Throwing up his faux sign language. What was going on?
What is he doing? I did
a reverse DJ Moore.
Oh, I haven't been looking at Jake this entire time.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
Only 2 out of the 4 of you guys are even halfway decent to look at. But we won't get into that.
Rank them.
I love how Gabe just goes, thanks. He flips his hair. Thanks.
I mean, I did say he was Charlie Whitehurst's second cousin earlier. So that,
automatic.
He's one of the 2, and I'll leave you all to think about who the other one is.
Well, it's obviously not me, so go ahead.
No, it's got to be Phillip Rivers. It has to be Phillip Rivers.
So back on DJ Moore, leave that other one hanging in the air. With Moore, I think that not only does he check boxes in how I approach evaluating receivers, but for a lot of other sects of the football world, I think he checks a lot of boxes there too. Whether it's market share, what he did at the combine. There's so much there to like. That makes me feel really good about his evaluation. Also for what the boxes that he does check in reception perception too. I think he's going to slot in as a really good slot receiver at worst. So for me, I think that makes me feel a lot better than guys like Calvin Ridley or Cortland Sutton who are up there on your list too. That I think there's a lot more of a wider range of outcomes with lower floors for those guys than there is for Moore. So he would be the one I'd go with, because I think no matter what, he's going to help a quarterback kind of create some of those easier completions. And I think that just gives him a much higher floor than some of these other guys.
What's your take on the slot wide receivers? And I think I may be mistaken. Did you talk about on Dynasty Happy Hour about these wide receivers? I think it was Dynasty Blueprint. And I don't know if it was the episode that you were on that episode, but slot wide receivers being replaceable.
There's a lot of Dynasty podcasts I've been on lately, it appears.
A lot of these wide receivers seem like they're going to be a slot wide receiver. And is that a replaceable position? How does that affect their value NFL wise?
See, I think what I've talked about a lot this offseason, whether it's on podcasts or on Twitter or in some of the articles I've written, is that the slot is becoming a place where I think teams should play their number one receivers more often. I tweeted out a chart from our next gen stats data that showed how much more efficient it is to throw to slot receivers rather than outside receivers. And I feel like you're seeing a lot of teams right now take some of these prototypical number one receivers and line them up in the slot more often, whether it's a guy like Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen. Those are guys that I think fit that number one receiver mold, but got about 30 to 40% of their targets from the inside. I think teams should be not so much thinking about the slot receiver position as a replaceable asset, but how can we maximize that position more? And I think there's a lot of guys in this class that fit that sort of souped up slot receiver mold. I think Moore is probably my favorite one of those prospects, but guys like Calvin Ridley, I think, can be flankers and number two receivers more often and then move into the slot maybe 30 for 40% of their targets. The guy like Christian Kirk, I think, is going to be a primary slot receiver. Anthony Miller, Deshaun Hamilton. I like all of these guys as players that are going to run a lot of routes out of the slot. To me, I think that's where teams should be focused on. Adam Thielen is another guy I didn't bring up earlier, but he's somebody that absolutely took advantage of that position more. Like, I remember that, not this time last year, but in the preseason when the Vikings were going to move Stephon Diggs to the outside and Adam Thielen to the inside, people freaked out about that. Like, what does this mean for Diggs? Whatever. Like, I thought it was a great move for both of those players because Diggs is more of a natural separator. I think he can defeat coverage a little bit easier than Thielen can, whereas Thielen moving him inside gives him so much more favorable looks. And I think more teams should take advantage of the slot in that regard. Juju Smith-Schuster was a player I didn't like as an outside receiver at USC, but when the Steelers moved him into that primary interior position, you saw him really thrive there. So that's kind of where I stand on the slot right now. It's not so much that it's a replaceable position. I think teams should find out how to maximize it more and get more value out of the players they run out of the slot.
Man, that's a fantastic point. And as a Vikings fan, these guys know that's the way they started to use Diggs actually in his second year, because he actually had a difficult year as a rookie beating press man coverage. And going into the season, I actually predicted that Diggs will be the slot guy because he's initially, at least, he had some problems beating press man coverage, and they actually moved Thielen into the slot where he really ate. How do you evaluate Diggs and Thielen? Who do you think is a better wide receiver, whether it's dynasty or not? And also that kind of coincides with the whole Des Bryant talk. Is Des could be so good in the slot like Larry Fitz did later in his career. If you could answer both of those questions there.
Okay, so the Vikings receiver one first. I'm always going to be a big Diggs fanboy. I'm just such a fan of the way he plays the position because I'm charting all of these routes. I'm naturally going to value the high end route runners, and I think Diggs is just a fantastic technician. Also, just super explosive off the line. I thought you saw him get a lot better from year one to year two against press coverage, and reception perception kind of backs that up. So I think that's why they were confident that he could thrive on the outside. And pretty much by any measure, he did thrive on the outside last year when he was actually healthy and playing. So I really liked what we saw from Diggs, pretty much throughout his NFL career. I think he's the better player. But what makes Thielen so unique is if you look at his reception perception results, he almost profiles similarly to like an Alshon Jeffrey type player. But when you have a big vertical receiver who wins contested catches, like an Alshon Jeffrey in that Adam Thielen mold, running routes in the middle of the field against primarily zone coverage, that's an incredible advantage that a lot of teams don't have. That's what I think makes him such a unique player. I actually tweeted out a little bit of a thread, not too many because I'm anti-thread. Five tweet minimum on threads, guys. Otherwise, write a frickin' article. And I subtweeted so many fantasy writers there, and I don't care. I meant what I said. But anyways, sorry, I got myself off track there. what I like about that is just, again, that's the perfect example of the slot, maximizing the slot receiver position. I kind of tweeted out a thread of using Thielen's reception perception data to show how that was advantageous. Now, on the Dez Bryant question, I think I agree with you, Jake, that I think he could thrive in that role. I think that is the only role he can thrive in at this point. With Dez, I tweeted out his reception perception. He finished below the 10th percentile in reception perception history and success rate versus man and press coverage. I do not think he can win as an ISO X receiver anymore. So for me, he does need to move into that big slot receiver mold. But the problem is he going to buy into it? Because that's the biggest question. With guys like Larry Fitzgerald, Reggie Wayne, Santana Moss, Hines Ward, some of these guys that have made that career change late into their NFL careers, like that is something they have to buy into. And even Larry Fitzgerald has talked about being kind of hesitant to do it because they all kind of want to play outside because that's where big plays tend to happen more often. At least traditionally we think of that's where number one receivers play. So if Dez is going to have to buy into that, though, and I think it's going to take the right landing spot. And honestly, I just don't think one is going to happen before the draft, obviously, at this point. And yeah, I think it says a lot that teams haven't beat down his door to go and get him because I don't know that he's willing to accept that role change just yet.
It is interesting how Dez hasn't been on a lot of teams' radar. I mean, I unfortunately the Ravens there for a while, where top 24 wide receivers go to plateau, because that's about all they become. Flacco never really supports a top 10 guy, but it doesn't seem like he has had much interest. Albert Wilson was signed quicker than so.
Hell yeah.
And he got probably the money that Dez is looking for. And I think the problem is the two teams that have been connected to Dez have been the Giants, who Sterling Shepard, I think, is definitely kind of the slot guy there. And then the Texans, people freaked out when Dez followed a bunch of the Texan players. Is Will Fuller a slot guy? Is he an outside guy? We know DeAndre Hopkins is going to be their primary receiver there. Both of those situations where I don't know where he's going to be put into the slot. So I think that's a great point there. Is he going to be in a situation where he's going to get slot reps?
I think that the Texans fit is actually the best one for him because they have a core. They have
Boo.
What? Why don't you like that?
Why boo? I think that's fantastic.
I just don't want anyone taken away from DeAndre getting 175 targets. That's all.
That's fair.
And
From a fantasy perspective, yes.
And AFC South
NFL
over here.
Oh yeah, AFC South. That's what's going
that too.
That's fair, but I think there's so much. That offense is really kind of lacking in playmakers after Hopkins. Yeah. I really like Fuller. I think he's one of the best deep threats in the NFL, but I don't know that you necessarily want him to be a receiver who's getting 120, 130 targets. I love Bruce. Everybody knows I love Bruce Ellington, but I think you can replace him as the slot receiver with a bigger version in Dez Bryant there. Not to mention too, I think with Dez, he's still his best trait is the fact he wins those 50-50 balls. That's really the only plus strength in his arsenal right now at this point. And Deshaun Watson was a top 10 tight window passer last year when he did play per next gen stats. So I really like that fit. Other than that though, it's tough to find one. I hate the Giants fit. That doesn't make, other than Dez wants to play in the NFC East, it doesn't seem like that makes any sense at all. And yeah, it was so hilarious when he was like, "Oh, I'm to see these guys twice a year." I'm like, none of these teams in this division can need man.
Or have the money.
Or have the money. Give me a break. So I don't think that Dez is going to New York. He's definitely not going to Washington, and obviously not going to Philly. So sorry about it, bro.
Panthers, maybe.
I hate the Panthers fit. I hate the Panthers fit because
that's not where Cam
because
wins,
Devin
right?
Funchess.
Yeah, dude, gotta keep that Funchess love open. No, but the reason I don't like the Panthers fit is just because I think their offseason moves have showed that they finally are ready to target receivers who can create separation and actually create some easier windows for Cam Newton to throw into. And I think Dez represents more of what they've looked for in wide receivers in the past. Big bodies who can win contested throws. Kelvin Benjamin, Devin Funchess. I think it seems more of like that's what they used to look for, and it seems like they're finally willing to start looking at some of these guys like Anthony Miller, Christian Kirk, DJ Moore, Deshaun Hamilton, all guys. James Washington is another one. They've kind of looked at these players I think that are better separators. So that's the only reason I don't like the Carolina fit to me. So, and I'm a sort of I'm in a complicated relationship with the Panthers. So I would love to see them actually add a good young receiver that I like. So I don't want this to get ruined.
It'd be great for Cam to have like actual weapons in that offense that separate deep.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's complicated. That's funny. I'm gonna hit you with a few quick hitters here, Matt, and everybody feel free to chime in, but I'll try to cover some things before we anyhow, let's just get to it. Matt, when's the last time I don't want to prematurely end the pod, nor do I want to upset our guests either. So when's the last time, Matt, that you looked at the New York Jets wide receiving depth chart?
I try to avoid doing any sort of things that are going to be sad. So yeah, no, it's been quite a while. Quite a while.
Darius.
Okay. I'm just going to throw some names out, and just yes or no. Do they interest you at all, whether it be real life or fantasy?
Okay, probably no. Yeah, but sure. We can do it.
Wow.
Okay. Quincy Enunwa.
A little bit.
Okay. Robbie Anderson.
If he can stop getting arrested, yes. I think he's really
Jermaine
good.
Kearse.
Nah.
Terrell Pryor.
Nah.
Ardarius Stewart.
Nah.
Damn it. Come on. Top 5 wide receiver for me last year.
Chad
we all
Hansen.
make mistakes. No. He's not good at all.
He just throws that in there.
J-Mike, why don't you just say Jets?
Did you say wait? Did you say Ardarius wasn't good? Or you say Chad Hansen wasn't good?
Neither one of them are that good.
Oh,
they both play very, very differently, and neither one is good.
Oh man, Elliott is also upset right now. Why
It's so bad.
Elliott. Why does he?
Chad Hansen is so bad too because James Coe will bring him up on the podcast. Like I swear to God, it's like because he's a Cal guy. Like once every month, Chad Hansen gets brought up on the podcast, and I'm like, dude. He's like, and he'll list him over Stewart too, which is my favorite part because neither one of them are relevant, obviously. But he'll whenever he's talking Jets wide receiver, he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what the Terrell Pryor signing means for Chad Hansen." I'm like, probably nothing. Why are you talking about Chad Hansen?
Let's talk about Marvin Jones, James.
I got a couple. Wait. Let's not go to Marvin yet. Sorry, I got 2 more Jets names. Let's just trudge through this. And this is per the request. Shout out to the homie Keaton Denley from the Fantasy Tilt Pod. Super cool dude. Sharon Peak.
No.
Last but not least, formerly of Minnesota Vikings fame, Charles Johnson.
Nah, man. What year is this? Come on.
Jerry is right. It's more relevant than Charles Johnson, and he's on the Panthers. But I guess I got sidetracked there because we just talked about the Panthers.
It made sense.
I just want to let you know, Matt, you just killed the dream of so many people in this chat.
Why? Why are people still talking about Charles Johnson?
Is Charles Johnson on the Jets now?
Charles Johnson's on this depth chart that I'm looking at.
See, that's why I went Jerry's right because I was thinking Panthers
on the Jets. Yeah.
Is there wide receiver 7?
Yeah, I think he got signed there.
Yeah,
he's cut. I mean, he's cut.
No, I'm sorry, and I wasn't meaning Sharon Peak was the one that Denley was asking about. I'm sorry, Keaton. I mean that he was asking about the Jets wide receivers. Kenny asked about Peak as well as JDB, but regardless, basically you're saying the only Jets wide receiver that you can even give 2 shakes of a lamb's leg about is Quincy Enunwa, correct?
And Robbie Anderson, if he can stop getting arrested.
Anderson.
What about Devin Smith, guys?
Oh, wow.
I didn't even.
You remember that name?
Yo, I will
poor
forever
guy.
hold out hope for.
Poor guy.
I loved Devin Smith, man. I was such a big Devin Smith fan.
He was a burner at Ohio State.
So I just Googled Devin Smith, and I think he is still on the Jets roster, but he's been like on IR 1,000 times. But if you Google him and like the Wikipedia bio that comes up to the right, I'll read it for you. Devin Smith is a former American football player who was a defensive linebacker in the National Football League from 2012 to 2013 during his time in the NFL. Devin played for the Cincinnati Bengals. Devin officially retired from the NFL in 2013. That's not right.
That's how relevant Devin Smith
No.
is. It's not even the right Devin Smith.
But it does. But it continues to give the correct information for that Devin Smith. Gives his right birthday, which I know because I sent him a card. His height, weight, and current team, New York Jets, number 19 wide receiver.
I'm going to use Wikipedia in every article that I write from now on.
It sounds like they mixed
Cite your
up
sources,
Devin.
people.
Wikipedia, it's correct.
Liars. Another one from the chat here, Matt. Of the Deep Dynasty 2017 wide receiver stashes, your Josh Malones, your Robert Davises, your Mac Hollins. I see you, Robbie. Any of those guys intrigue you at all?
I think Mac Hollins intrigues me because he flashed as a rookie, and he's a big play guy. They obviously brought in Mike Wallace, who I think could play an upgrade on the Torrey Smith role there. But if Wallace falters, if he's lost any of that speed, I think Hollins could be interesting there. Josh Malone is not a guy that really did it for me. And I think Robert Davis is in too crowded of a receiver course. So I think of the guys there, like I think Matt Collins is the most interesting.
Can we have the Richie James talk soon? I know you're about to get to something though.
I don't have any takes on Richie James. Can I just spoiler alert?
Do you remember what that's code for?
An hour and 45 minutes.
I've waited this long, man.
Talk to you about Richie James.
You have nothing for me? I mean, anybody's been waiting just as long to talk to Anthony Miller. And I got nothing on Richie James. Not a
you
word.
Remember what that's code for? Do you remember what that's code for?
Exactly.
Code, homie.
I'm upset right now. My drink's gone.
You're the one that invited me on the show. Why didn't you give me the disclaimer that's
I should have said.
You got the show sheet. You got the show sheet.
Richie James was on the show sheet.
Oh
visibly.
Man. It must have been on the other copy. I'll talk to my lawyer about that.
All right. Might as well talk about Anthony Miller now.
Thanks for joining us, Jake. Bye.
I don't know what to say.
Glad you waited this long, Jake.
No, Matt.
Man, I think we can get Matt Harmon on so we can talk to Richie James. Yeah, I got nothing.
Matt, you said just enough.
Just made J Mike's night tonight. Yeah, I got nothing.
I don't know what.
Who? He doesn't play for Middle Tennessee State, does he?
He just went corporate NFL Network jargon on you.
I retire. I'm gonna change. I've been thinking about changing my Twitter handle. Now it's gonna be like not Richie James at not Richie James.
First tweet, I got nothing.
Everyone unfollowed me.
Wow.
I wish I had some drink left.
Oh, yeah, me too. Shoot, I feel bad.
Oh my gosh.
Man,
I haven't laughed that hard in a while. That was good.
That should have been a prerequisite.
Sorry. I forgot that I said too about the part earlier that when I say I don't have takes, that means the guy sucks. I literally haven't watched a single second of them.
You should do that. And just let me know what you think. Because Matt Harmon, Matt Waldman, it's the carousel of the Matts right now. On
so many Matts.
Just watch some Richie James for me. Because I know Matt Waldman is a fan.
Isn't that good enough for you?
It is, but I wanted some more qualifying analysis there.
Well,
He needed your validation, Matt.
I did because I've been talking. J. Mike has been Anthony Miller guy, wide receiver 2, which I do like Anthony Miller, but my whole philosophy on Anthony Miller is why draft Anthony Miller in the start of the second round of rookie drafts when you can get Richie James in the 4th or 5th round of rookie drafts.
I mean, I like Anthony Miller a lot, so I don't know.
And I haven't watched any Richie James.
And I haven't seen his
I'm sorry.
Why would you take
Right
Richie
now,
James? Why would you
taking
take
it.
Richie James in the 3rd round of a rookie draft when you could take Anthony Miller 1st overall in a rookie draft?
Someone I've watched.
I don't know.
Sorry, Matt.
I don't know how to recover
time.
from this.
I really should have set you up for that, man. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be this upset, but obviously I am.
Matt, I'm sorry. If you don't mind, one more time, just in case for whatever reason somebody was getting their last set in the gym, listening to the podcast, and they couldn't quite hear what you said there. Can you say what you said again about Anthony Miller, and then say again what you said about Richie James?
My official statement on Anthony Miller is that he's good and I like him. And my official statement on Richard James, as he's known in his family, is no comment.
I don't even know if his name is Rick. That's the problem. We have serious issues that are going on right now. I don't even know if his official name is Richard. That's disrespect.
Between
Yeah, watch
Kate
the second
Rapp,
round. He doesn't even know how to Google him, man.
between Casey's rap,
How much can you really like him?
Matt Harmon just crushing Jake's dreams. My life is all downhill from here. There's
I'm
nothing
not drafting
left.
Richie James anymore. I'm gonna draft Bo Scarborough instead.
Well, I googled Richie Smith NFL, and what the result that popped up
Wrong
was
name.
was-
You need to get the name right. I know they're both popular names,
right.
so you
Shit.
gotta get the name
That's
right.
the joke.
Oh
Alright.
man. He is from Middle Tennessee.
J-Mac's done.
Oh, Richie Smith.
Richie Smith. Yeah, that's right. Let's. I don't know. No, yeah.
Richie Jim Bob Cooper is fucking. I don't know.
He ran a 4.48. That's
Jim
cool.
Mike left. He was about to cream Cortland Sutton's statistics in that conference before he got hurt this year.
Lance Zierlein compared him to DeAnthony Thomas, so there's that.
What?
Just looking stuff up
D'Anthony
now.
Thomas is the gadget
Looking it
guy.
up.
Come on. Just because they're the same height, weight, or similar. I mean, Richie James is a slot wide receiver.
I'm looking at his NFL.com.
This is the first time Matt has even heard of this cat. And he's like, well, Lance Zierlein, D'Anthony Thomas, he's about to get cut from the Chiefs.
So on the draft profile on NFL.com, Lance has the overview, the strength, the weaknesses, but the sources tell us section is blank.
Let's
So-
just go to the weaknesses because that's where we're at right now.
The sources haven't said anything apparently.
Well,
It's
he's
been-
not deserving of that. So let's just go to the
We're
weaknesses.
sure he's in this draft.
Yeah, sources say he might be a prospect.
He's not worth a waiver wire addition for $1.
Well, weaknesses is he lacks NFL size.
He is small.
Thin frame broke down this season. Played just 5 games due to ankle injury and broken collarbone. Play strength is below average. Plays with good quickness, but routes lack polish. Needs better elusiveness at the top of his routes. Too upright in breaks and stems, allowing defenders to get hands on him. Lacks focus and catch radius to consistently pluck throws outside his frame. Has frequent bouts with balance, even when untouched. Athletic, but still raw. So I can really see why you like him.
I'm glad this is coming from a
Should be
scouting
great.
report and not from someone that's actually watched Richie James film.
He does.
Richie James plays bigger than his size, and I don't know about that scouting report, Lance.
Well, more than I would have been able to tell you. So
Lance has too much on his plate. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, yo, I don't know if it's. I don't know.
I like Lance.
I don't know if
let's
happened.
Stick to offensive linemen because you are fantastic at that. You do a great job. But as far as late round wide receivers go, I don't agree with your analysis, buddy.
That was very kind the way you put that. Very.
Listen, I respect him, so I'm not trying to trash on his takes. I respect you, Lance. But Richie James is the real deal.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I can tell your sincerity.
Heard it here first.
Yep. Matt, if you just heard it, Matt completely agrees with me there.
I can't.
Hey, Mike, this is your time. If you want to tone it down, if you want to get to the outro of this podcast, I understand. There's not much more vodka in the world that I can drink right now. So I get it.
I think as far if you were to rank top 5 girlfriends, I think we know where either Jake or Richie James lands at this point. So
I don't know who's higher right now.
Somewhere between
Jake and Richie, that's not good.
Yeah. You know what? I really like Jake as a person. He seems like a good guy.
Matt, you are just realizing how
nice
of a guy Matt is right now. Super nice.
Jake he's always been a good person to chat with, and has a good face. Got a better face than Sam Darnold, I'll say that.
You know what? He gives Phillip Rivers some competition.
Richie James, though, I don't even know what he looks like. I mean,
can you please watch some Richie James tape soon? And let me know. Let me know what you think.
I got a lot going on, man.
I'm not asking for a reception perception on this guy.
Look, the draft is in 2 days. It's a wrap.
Watch some 2016 or 2015 tape.
Oh, so see, nah, man. You're asking me to go back.
You get the prerequisite of this podcast.
No, it must have been on the show sheet.
It is all downhill.
Okay.
Yep.
I think Richie's been bodied plenty at this point. So
yes.
No one is drafting Richie anymore. Free shares.
Mama James, wherever you are, we mean no disrespect to you or your family or your son.
Yeah, Richie's mom is going after you, Matt. After tonight,
I didn't say it. I didn't say he was bad. I just said I haven't watched him.
He just doesn't know. He just doesn't know.
Is there a reverse Harmon bomb?
Reverse Harmon. Yeah.
This is the reverse Harmon bomb.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I'm sad, but I'm happy at the same time.
You know what, Jake? I give you permission to at me every single time he catches a pass in the NFL.
I'm going to at you at least 3 times.
Hashtag blocked.
Yeah, I mean, I give you permission to. I will not block you. Might mute you for a little bit, but
I've had worse. That's fair.
All right.
Holy hell, this was fun. I had a lot of fun with this part of the program.
You wonder why I waited an hour and 45 minutes to bring this up.
Yeah, it's a good thing too. That would have been bad if that was right off the top, like we did. We did the intro, and then
without any warning.
That's exactly right, Robbie.
Yes. Anthony Miller's good. Richie James.
Yeah.
Tune into NFL Draft Talker for that one. He will be adding.
I'm about to post like 12 cut-ups of Richie James on Twitter.
Yep. Get the GIFs going.
It should only be 5.
GIFs going.
12.
Every get throw a Matt Harmon head on James GIF there.
Oh, that's got to happen. I got to get in touch with GIF.
Yeah, because they don't have them on there, Jake. We know.
Well, that's why I got to get in touch with them.
Yep.
Before we start to close it down,
all right.
Where is can everybody just real quick? Obviously, the draft being in 2 days. What are you most looking forward to see happening come Thursday, particularly Thursday? We can talk about Friday too, but what are you guys most excited that may happen that's going to be shaken out for the draft?
Well,
not everybody at once. I get
yeah,
it.
I mean, I don't know. Should I go? Yeah. Should I go first? I guess no one else is talking. I'm a professional talker. I'll talk. I think I want to see. I think the quarterback intrigue is it's too easy to say. I think where Lamar Jackson goes is probably the thing I'm looking forward to seeing the most, because I do think one of these teams that people would think is a surprise landing spot could end up snagging him. And, whether it be Baltimore, what I talked about earlier, I think that would be a lot of fun to see. So that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most, is seeing where he lands in conjunction with the entire quarterback intrigue. It's just the most fascinating part of this draft.
And there's just a few regimes that have been run so long by kind of the same dude between. I don't think the Steelers are going to do anything, but you've heard talk about the Chargers, the Saints. I mean, the Cardinals don't have Palmer anymore. The Patriots even. I mean, the Patriots might even swing up in the first round for like the first time ever. They always seem to trade up in like 3, 4, 5 rounds. But other than that, so yeah, it's all about the QBs this year, it seems. I'm intrigued to see if any of those guys kind of plant themselves in a place where there has been success already from a dude that's done it for, 15 years plus.
Yeah, there's been interesting comments from Ozzie Newsome too. In his interviews, he's talked about, he's kind of walked around the circle of you guys don't really know where we're going in this draft. And I think that lends to itself that they might be taking somebody that no one is expecting, which I think Lamar Jackson is a perfect candidate there. And then all this talk about Patriots, you wouldn't think that information would be leaked, that they would be trading up for Lamar Jackson. And then this Arizona Cardinals talk where Steve Wilkes, coming from Carolina, working with Cam Newton, working with a mobile quarterback, there's definitely some, it would make sense there. So I agree with both of you guys that Lamar Jackson is kind of intriguing there. And I think he's probably going to be the 5th quarterback in this class. And I think he's a first-round lock for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's whether Mason Rudolph's going to get drafted in the first round or not.
Please no.
Oh, it's going to happen. I feel like
is it really?
I think it's going to happen.
Who do you think pulls the trigger? Do you think it's a trade up from round 2 or back half of the first round?
I think it could be a trade up. Maybe the Giants.
Oh man, that'd be so bad.
Yeah, if they take Saquon Barkley,
they're going to take Barkley, which is a horrible value at 2, even though how phenomenal he is. And then they're going to trade up for Mason Rudolph. They couldn't screw that up much worse than that.
Yeah, man, I used to really like Dave Gettleman his first couple of years in Carolina, but like the longer that every time he talks to the media, I'm like, man, I'm glad this guy's not the GM anymore. And again, we're on ride number 2 with Marty Herney. So what the hell does that even mean?
Fair point. Robbie, what are you most looking forward to?
I think there's a lot of intrigue with the trades. I mean, you can say that for every year, but this year, especially with the number of potentially first round and maybe even top 15 quarterbacks, who's going to trade up and who do they trade with and who trades down. So that's one part. And then being biased as a Cowboys fan, I want to know if they do go and take a wide receiver at 1 or if they wait until 2nd or 3rd round. But I think there's just a lot of intrigue since they released Dez, and it makes me nervous as a Cowboys fan because I feel like that was a need that they didn't have 2 weeks ago. But I just don't know if they're going DJ Moore, if they're going, Cortland Sutton, or if they're going to, hit a need that they had before the draft. So kind of the trades and Dallas for sure.
Seems like everyone knows the Cowboys card, and why would you take a wide receiver at 19 when this is a somewhat weak wide receiver class and there's a lot of good depth there? I just think Cortland Sutton's been talked about a lot to Dallas there, and I don't know if that makes sense as far as they have other needs in wide receiver and not being a wide receiver strong class. Why don't you pass that up and take James Washington or somebody else that falls to round 2 or 3 there?
I would hate Cortland Sutton landing in Dallas. That might just be me, but I want to see him go to a spot.
Not the primary.
Yeah, not to have to be that ISO X receiver right away, because I think he could definitely be that player in time, but I would just hate having him kind of thrown right out there. And I think Dallas too should look for a player that can create more easier throws for Dak Prescott too, more of those layup passes. So
if Dallas is going to take a wide receiver in the first round, is that DJ Moore for you?
Or Calvin Ridley. I think Ridley would be a nice fit too, because they have so many potential slot receivers there already.
And is Sutton a Ravens type of first round pick? Who's the best landing spot for Sutton in the first, assuming he goes in the first round to maybe a back half?
Green Bay, middle of the first round or middle of the second round.
Would you say James Washington might be a better fit in that offense in maybe the second round?
I really want to see Washington in more of a vertical pass offense. He would be ideal. He would be an ideal fit with he's like the ideal Cam Newton receiver in that he wins down the field and in tight windows. But he's another one that I want to see get a receiver that creates more of those layup throws. So I want them to land someone more like a DJ Moore too. I think ideally Ridley with the Cowboys and Moore with the Panthers and Sutton with the Packers, I think makes a lot of sense.
There it is, the definitive word.
I'm okay with that.
And Richie James with the Montreal
practice squad for the Jets. He'd be a fantastic wide receiver 12.
No,
he
could improve their practice squad.
He could compete with with Sharon Peak for a roster spot.
I think he'd just be four spots behind Sharon Peak. Would be great.
He just sent that man north of the border. He didn't even give him a practice squad. He just sent that man to the Alouettes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you caught that or not, Jake.
No, I got it. That's a couple of minutes now. Digesting. Digestion takes a while.
I want to say one thing about the draft real quick, Gabe, and you can start the process, I guess. First of all, to everyone of late who's jumping aboard the Lamar Jackson and Anthony Miller hype trains, welcome. It's been a bumpy ride. A lot of people didn't want to rock with us for the first several miles of the trip, but we're glad you're aboard for this home stretch. And for everyone who jumped off of the Ronald Jones bandwagon, good riddance. I wish you well. I wish you life and prosperity. But when my man breaks off 75-yarder in the preseason like Amir Abdullah did, and maybe fades to black pretty soon, I'm going to go down with the ship. It's going to be a Titanic situation, and I'm okay with that. But Rojo, 2020. That's all I got to say about that. So, Gabe, take us home.
Impressive. It's almost as if Roe is the president and Joe is the vice president. Like, it kind of just works that way. Very impressive, J. Mike. All right. We've hit the halfway mark, Matt. We are at halftime.
just over 2 hours.
Get your beverage.
I told you the 4-hour show. If anyone needs a bathroom break, I'll do another commercial. So.
Yeah, better call Postmates now. My God. Give me a second dinner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jake, in parting words, aside from who?
No, I just got owned by Matt Harmon and
bodied.
Bodied. That's a better word. That really is a better word.
Zip him up.
Honesty, before the last 15 minutes or so, it's been phenomenal. I've had a great time. I've probably had way too much vodka tonight. I've talked to Matt. I've been on a diet. I've been trying to lose weight. I haven't been drinking alcohol as much, but tonight I kind of got into it. So
special occasion, man.
Special occasion. The Matt Harmon bump. That's the true Matt Harmon bump. But honestly, it's been a blast having you on. I appreciate it, and that's about it. You can find me at NFL Draft Talker. I'm a writer for Dynasty League Football, and if you ever want to have conversations, Twitter is the place to find me.
And if you need a Richie James avatar,
Yeah,
he'll probably has about 50 ready.
those
to go.
aren't going to come in anymore. I've had them waiting. No more.
All right, Matt, what do you have to say?
This is a lot of fun. I laughed a lot, mostly at Jake's expense.
That's what I'm here for.
No, but this is great. It was good to chat with you guys about some not wide receiver stuff, and really dive into the depth chart of the New York Jets, which I'm sure a lot of people were clamoring for.
Riveting.
No, this is a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for having me. It was legitimately a blast.
Awesome. Yeah, very happy to have you as well. Robbie, what do you have to say for yourself?
Jobby.
No, guys, I appreciate you guys having me on again. It's fun every time I come on. So glad to be on with the executive producer, the brains behind the show, apparently, I find out. And then Matt as well. So great to hear from Matt from his perspective with not just wide receivers, apparently. He's got a whole plethora of rankings just waiting to be thrown out there. So
There's just opportunity to throw Jake under the bus some more, but we're just going to leave.
And can I throw a little caveat here? I am very proud that this podcast managed to go over 2 hours and only talk about wide receivers and really Richie James for the last 15 minutes of the show. That was really my mindset, is let's have Matt Harmon on and not talk about wide receivers, which I think we did a great job of. I'm very proud of that.
Good team effort.
It would only happen here at the open bar. Mike.
Yeah, buddy. Incredibly grateful for everyone in the chat hanging out with us this evening. Thank you guys for that here on YouTube, 9:30 Eastern on Tuesdays. I'm incredibly happy that the draft is going to be here. And again, you can find our podcast on on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play. And I think we might also be on, you know what? I don't know. I'm not even going to make it up. On Twitter I won't. On Twitter at JMikeCheck, at JMICCheck. And again, to our guests and specifically you, Matt, just because it's the first time that we've got to ever interact. And since I'm a co-host on this podcast, I'm just going to say this real fast. Just to be able to, I think maybe a year and a half ago, I was first introduced to you in terms of your story. And I read on your podcast about just your story growing up and everything that you went through in terms of with your weight and transforming your body and that whole journey that you've been on. And how super inspirational that was and encouraging that was. And just for me to be able to talk with you tonight, I can't tell you in enough words how encouraged and thankful that I am to be able to have this opportunity. So thanks for slumming it with us. Some dudes who just like to enjoy ourselves and talk a little bit of fantasy about it, and grateful for it. So again, thank you.
Dude, my pleasure. This was it's always weird to, I don't know, I don't really think of myself that way, but it's really cool for you to say that. And yeah, it means a lot to me to interact with all you guys, and we'll definitely have to do this again sometime. This was a lot of fun for me, and thanks for everybody that follows my stuff, man, because I get to live my dream life, and without you guys it would not be possible. So appreciate it.
I mean, we still remember Tyler Lockett from like 3 years ago.
Yo, this is the year. So Paul Richardson's gone. You tell me who's gonna be that number 2 receiver there.
His name
I've heard
is
a lot of Darby.
Jerron Brown.
I want to hear it.
They don't have a Sharon Peak or a Devin Smith waiting in the wings there.
Not even Richie James.
No.
Not
could
yet.
have been
Not yet.
Wide receivers 14. Coming on strong.
Gabe, get us out of here, please.
Okay.
We're not doing
Before
Richie
we-
James again.
Yeah.
No.
We can't hear that again. All right.
No.
What do I have to say? I have to promote things, I suppose. We're a part of Fake Pigskin. They put us on. We're very thankful for them. They have their subscription thing on their website, monthly or yearly. Sign up for whatever you like, and you'll get all the great content for things of articles, podcasts are always free, but articles and access to DFS, things like that. So check out Fake Pigskin. We got a little partner with Thrive Fantasy. They do prop bets, some DFS stuff. So if you want to say over under that Richie James catches one catch throughout the entire 2018 season,
Over.
you're probably going like 2,000 to 1 on that type of money if you're saying over. But feeling lucky, punk? Don't know. So check out Thrive Fantasy. We've got our link in descriptions everywhere, podcasts, YouTube, and whatnot. You'll get money just by doing prop bets, obviously. And if you're listening to our takes, I mean, hoofda. What else? What else, J Mike? Do I have anything else to say?
Yes. So I forgot to mention, you can follow the podcast on Twitter. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're good at that because I always mess that one up.
Yeah, I forgot. So on Twitter, you can follow the show. Obviously, the Open Bar is a show, but the Twitter handle is at the Open Bar FP. Again, at the Open Bar FP as in fake pigskin. So check us out on Twitter. And Gabe's at FF Man Bun.
Oh yeah. I guarantee I would have said something different if
yes,
if I
it is
closed
not
out.
at Grab Bag Fantasy. Everyone who graduated from Grab Bag Fantasy U, we still get to keep our diplomas. It's still accredited, but with the change of the handle, it's under different management.
Matter of fact, this is funny because Matt was on Grab Bag once.
That's right.
He was. I remember kind of the running joke of the episode is that I had peaked and that I should just leave after this. And not that he was saying that directly, but we were all kind of throwing that around. But good advice.
I don't think I saw that. I don't think I said that,
Matt, because that was my last episode. So, RIP Grab Bag. That was.
You Sharon peaked twice.
So I'm just wondering, Matt, would you like to say anything about the open bar right now to try and get me to leave or J Mike to leave?
I'm having too much fun. Stop.
No, I don't speak ill of bars. That's especially open ones.
Very true.
No,
we will be back. We will be back. It's true. I don't know if it's next week, which seems kind of odd since the NFL draft, is weekend, and you'd think that we'd have all sorts of drunk hot takes for after that. But I do know that we have one 2 weeks from now. Jake, you had no part of this. You are on vacation in 2 weeks, just so you know, Mr. Executive Producer. So, why don't you just go ride yourself into the city of Manhattan, get yourself a Manhattan, kick back, relax, do your thing, my man.
I'm incredibly excited about that opportunity. And as long as Gabe's not in the city, I will be there.
All right. Good way to close this out there. All right. Well, put your drinks up, my people. We can't exactly see Robbie, but it doesn't matter. We're all empty at this point. At least I hope Jake is for sure.
Obviously, I'm empty.
And
cut him off.
Oh, there's Robbie. Hey, Robbie. And we will see y'all next week, or if not next week, it's going to be 2 weeks. And deuces.